Hello and welcome to the Just Mates podcast. This is the 30th episode of Just Mates. You are joined by me, Nafees.
And me, Samuel.
This is a podcast where we aim to destigmatise men not speaking up about mental health. Remember to follow our social pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Just Mates Pod. You can listen to and subscribe to our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor and Apple Podcast. We links are provided in the description. In today's 30th episode, we discuss friendship.
Oh yeah, although we can't see our friends anymore.
No, exactly. But this is one kind of a roundup one that I wanted to really discuss, just the types of friends that we have, really.
Yeah, there's always that distinction I find between is it like friends and acquaintances, and not knowing where that split is.
I know, and the word acquaintance has such a negative connotation. It's like you're saying that we're not friends, but we're friends. It's like, whoa, where do I stand? But some people are in that position in our lives. Like, there are people there that we don't need to talk to all the time, but like, if they're there, they're there.
Yeah, there's no like where you can pinpoint whether or not someone's an acquaintance or a friend, can you?
No, not really. I mean, obviously you have, and in no way, shape or form does time dictate how good of a friend someone is. But you obviously have your long-lasting friends, your close friends, and your fun friends and that kind of thing. And that's what I kind of wanted to lead on the different types of friends that we have or should have.
Yeah, I think there's also, like, when you're younger, you want, well, this is kind of what I wanted. I wanted, like, loads of friends.
Yeah.
And I did, you know, like, only a handful were special kind of close relationship friends like you and me. And then, like, as I got older, my friendship group circle gets smaller. And then you begin to, like, appreciate what a true friend really is.
It is so true as well. And like you just said, when you're younger, you're right. You just want to be everyone's friend, innit? Like, you just want to be known as a popular guy, or even I know there are still people like this now, but back in the day you'd have like your big friendship group, like a massive group, and you could turn to so many different people. And then as you go into like year 10, 11, and then you go into college, uni, if you go there, work, that circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you're left with like 3-4 people that you can actually rely on.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. I remember I used to have like loads of different friendship circles, and when drama kicked off in one circle, I'd hop to the other one.
You friendship hugger.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. There's a lot of people that did that, and I think in the immature stages of our life, that's kind of what you need anyway. Like, if you don't want to be involved in a certain something, you can just like switch and change, and then that's when you kind of build on certain friendships. Like, you might pin one person from one friendship group and someone else from another, and they could become your two best friends.
Yeah, no, that's true. And like, what I've learned recently, like, how do you define if someone's like, you know, a real friend? I have this term, real friend. Like, this friend, like, on the surface sort of thing. Like, yeah, you chat and you get along. Like, you could probably, like guys are, like, you could. I've got one mate called Brooke. I love him. I spoke to him for like the first time in like 2 years. Recently, and we just both kicked off like nothing had changed.
That's the beautiful thing as well.
That's a real friend, and you know, and how do you also define like what a real friend is? Would that person message you out of the blue, like actually being considerate and actually caring for you? Like, that's a real friend.
Yeah, of course. But then there are some, like, especially growing up, like, you hear it all the time, like. People always say this phrase, no one's too busy for you, but it is so untrue. Like, people get busy, man. We're adults, like, we get busy. There'll be times where I don't see certain texts, and like, I'll be like, oh shit, I was meant to reply to this. Or it's not because I don't care or I'm not involved, it's just because I genuinely haven't had the time, or someone has genuinely not had the time to just sit there on their phone.
And that's true. And I think there's like a distinction between like men and women in terms of friendships as well. Like, I don't know about you, but like I've just said with me and my friend Brooke, and, you know, to an extent, like this kind of happens with you and me. Sometimes I know we text a lot, but like if we don't, there's no like, oh my God, why has Naf not
of course,
text me, what the hell? And like the girls that I've spoken to, it's like, you know, they kind of say, oh, she hasn't spoken to me in a while, what's going on, like, does she hate me, sort of thing. And it's like, it's not that, whereas with guys it's like you can just pick up.
You're right. And especially as well with girls is like, if that does happen where it's been a week or so that they haven't texted, and I'm not generalizing, but it does tend to happen. Girls will be like, oh, they're just using me for something. But I don't think, I think they're more emotionally attached to their friends in that sense.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want to put it that way. Whereas I guess even I am like, well, every one of my close friends I can say that I can rely on, but each one, without sounding condescending, I guess, has a different purpose for me. Like there are certain friends that I have that I can actually talk to and know that I'm going to get like good advice from, or I can just know that they're going to listen and understand where I'm coming from. But there's certain friends I just talk to about like games or like design work or stuff.
That's a really, really freaking interesting point as well there, mate, that you just sparked a light bulb in my head, with how you can actually define like what a real friend is. Like they will tell you, a friend will tell you the truth, like even if it hurts. So sort of like, I know if I have like a bad situation occurring, someone who might be my friends might just say what I want to hear, whereas I know you will tell me the brutal, honest truth, even if it hurts, because you care about me.
It is a sense of care as well. And some people, like we said before, some of our friends aren't as involved in our lives as like that, not that they should be, that it's just that's how they work. Like they probably have their own personal best friend that they are more involved in, whereas me to them is just like, this is I'm just here for like a good chat or a laugh or something. And that doesn't make them a bad friend, because each friend still serves their own purpose. But I can honestly say that majority, about probably 3/4 of my friends, more than that maybe, I can rely on and know that I can have a good chat with, and it's not going to be like any kind of bitterness.
Yeah, and let's not tiptoe around it. Like, it's actually draining to talk to loads of friends.
Oh yeah, like, you know, back in the day when you had, I don't know if you ever had BBM or anything, you just want to have so many chats going, like one on one. I don't know how I ended up, because I used to talk to so many people. I don't know how I managed to do it back in the day. Whereas now, if I'm talking to one person, I just want to be talking to one person.
Yeah, same as me, mate. It's just less hassle, especially when you've got loads of other stuff on your mind. Like, you don't want to be like, oh, I have to respond to this, I have to respond to this. It's like, it's easier to keep your friendship group smaller. There's nothing wrong with that either.
No, and there's nothing wrong with having a big friendship group, but
no, of course not.
It's just maintenance as well. Like, it because then you can kind of create a sense of bitterness if you have a massive group of friends, because one week you'll be like, I can't make time for this person, and they might find it a bit insulting, whereas you're not actually trying to insult them, you just don't have the time for them, but it's because you've got so many friends to accommodate for.
I had like that's very true. And just leading on to my next point, where I had a point where I went to like quite a small school. Like there wasn't a lot of people in my year, and I this is GCSE time, so past year 11, I was thinking I'm going to go to this sixth form, which is quite big, and it was like an academy. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go here. I'm going to, aside from work the hell out and stuff, try and look good. I'm going to try and make loads of friends. And I did that in the first year, and I was successful in it. I made loads of friends, and some of them are still really close to me now. But I like my grades declined because of it, because I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. And then when I got into second year, I basically did my A levels, my first AS and A2 in 1 year, and because I thought I'm just going to keep my friendship group really small, and just crack with work and work out when I can. So like you can see there, like just from my example, that having so many or trying to have so many friends can be really detrimental.
It can, because I think when you do that, you become a people pleaser, and you just want to kind of impress each and every single person, and then it becomes draining because you without realizing you put 90% more attention on one friend and the other friend's lacking, and then you kind of cause friction between them, and then you have drama, and it becomes a bit petty, whereas you're trying too hard to please everyone, and not everyone is going to be happy with the way you are, really. Like, there's certain friends I've got that, or I don't know if you would want to call them friends, acquaintances. There's certain people I know that we have a mutual level ground that I wouldn't be able to talk to all day, every day. I would feel drained if I was talking to them all the time, but I can talk to them one off and it'll be like great.
Yeah, arm's length.
Yeah, that kind, and that doesn't mean to say like I don't care for them. Like there's just different levels of care that you have for different friends. Like you said before, there's a couple of friends I've got that I will text once a week, but then there's a couple of friends that I'll talk to like every day, but like 2-3 messages here and there, and that's it. And then there's one person that I'll talk to all the time, every day, all day. Do you know what I mean? Like each one, as I said before, has a different purpose. And I think you need to have that support bubble where you can look at certain types of friends and think, oh, I want to talk to them about this, and I know I can rely on this person and rely on this person for that, or I need cheering up, I want to talk to this person. It's nice to have them kinds of friends around you.
Yeah, and I guess loads of people will probably be asking, how can you cherry pick and find those people? And it's like, well, the answer's never really easy.
I think certain friendships develop as well. Like there's certain friends that I wasn't close to before, but growing older and obviously knowing them longer, it's kind of made me realize that they are good for this, and I'm really glad I've got this person.
Yeah, and I think what you said at the start about, time doesn't define a friend. Like, I know, like, you are one of my best friends and like one of my closest friends, and I've known you for like the least amount of time in comparison to the majority of people that I've met, apart from the new people at work. Yeah,
that's exactly. It's a prime example of a time is really not a dictation, and like even like, say if you were to be asked, or if I was to be asked, oh, who's your best friend? It wouldn't be my long-lasting friend. It would actually probably be someone that I've been friends with 2-3 years, like you or Ryan, like someone from work that I grew close to through work.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So it's a really difficult one. But here I'm looking at an article, and funnily enough, it's basically, it says 8 types of friends you need to have in your life. And I guess that's just a generic phrase that they've obviously titled this article. But what I was kind of getting on with purposes of each friend, I guess I can list these 8 things and we can talk about them as I go along. So the first one I'll talk is a loyal best friend. Sometimes a loyal best friend is the only thing you need to stay sane. Everyone needs a non-judgmental friend who will support them no matter what. This is the kind of friend who lets you be a hot mess and knows all of your deepest and darkest secrets, but still loves you all the same. If I said a loyal best friend, can you pinpoint someone?
Me, loyal best friend, or you, mate?
And which is crazy to say that I haven't known you that long.
Yeah, and loyalty is so freaking important, man. Like, and I think I'm really trying my bloody hardest to not be sexist, but I think this is where some girls, and maybe the girls are even agreeing with me on this, I think this was some girls fall apart in this kind of thing, because I think, what kind of girls are like, and don't get me wrong, a lot of guys are like this, but the whole judgment side of things.
Yeah, it's like
judging.
It's like if I had a party and I didn't invite one of my mates, I don't think they would be that insulted. I really don't.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in that kind of scenario, in a girl best friend or girl friendship group, there would be kind of friction and drama, and there'll be like bitchiness, I guess. Or is that me generalizing too much?
I probably only had that happen to me like twice. Like where I was like, well, what the hell? Why didn't you invite me? And then I got like really arsy about it. And then when I looked at, when I look back at it, you know, they didn't invite me because I was on the other side of the country. It was perfectly logical. And
yeah, it's about perspective, isn't it, as well? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at, mate. Like, I'm not doing a good job of describing it, but it's like, yeah, it is all about perspective, and like maybe they didn't invite you because
somebody else, and maybe it was out of like caring for you. Like maybe there was going to be someone there that you didn't get on with, and they're kind of actually putting you first by thinking, well, I don't want to cause this drama, so let me avoid them two meeting to cause like any kind of friction, so I won't invite this person.
I've got a friend in particular with what you just said, and he's very close, and I've known him for a good number of years now, and I wanted to invite somebody to a certain party, and he was like, fuck no. And like in hindsight, like I was maybe a bit annoyed at the time, but like I think he was just looking out for me, and like that's, you know, an acquaintance wouldn't do that.
I think they're like, putting you first, aren't they?
Yeah, man, and that's like rare. It's really rare. Like, but even if it would have benefited me with that person to come, like, you know, even him having that thought process is him being a friend.
Of course, and it's just it's making sure that they've got your best interest at heart.
Of course.
So number 2 is. And do you know what? Reading through these, by the way, like I am noticing that I pretty much have these qualities in all of my friends. Like I can name so many of, like, even certain of my friends have multiple of these like traits. But yeah, okay. Number 2 is a fearless adventurer. We live in a big world where there are so many places to see, people to meet, and experiences to be had. Yet so many of us are stuck in our own routines and forget to live. Sorry?
I see what you mean. They kind of break the mold, sort of thing. Like they encourage you to try new things and like get you out of routine,
and it's like getting you out of your shell as well, and like trying, like, for example, gearing you onto, I don't know, go on a roller coaster or something that you haven't done before, but having that kind of incentive from someone that's like a bit fearless.
Yeah, I my friend Brooke is the absolute definition of this. Like, the kid is crazy. Like, he won't listen to this, but like he's crazy. He does, like, he used to do downhill mountain biking and stuff, and that, you know, that shit is, and like BMXing and stuff, like all these hardcore things. And I would be like obviously a bit nervous and stuff about doing it, but like he'd just invite me along anyway, and like I would have a go at it. I'd be absolutely dreadful, but like he'd encourage me to try.
Even if you didn't even do it, but the sense of knowing that someone's encouraging you to, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, and that's amazing, really. That those type of friends are absolute godsend.
Yeah, and would you say Dom's like that as well?
Dom, used to be.
Not now.
Not now. Now he's got like a kid on the way. Bless him. He's hunkered down a little bit, but no, he used to be nuts.
Exactly, because I do remember you mentioning a few things about him. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, bless him. No, he's wild, man. He used to be crazy, but like, and he always used to encourage me, be it good or bad.
Yeah, no, definitely. But you do kind of need that kind of person to like break like out of your comfort zone. Because with me, I've got one of my best mates, Naz. He probably won't be. Well, he won't be listening to this, but he's kind of the type of person that will be like, "Oh, do this and do that," or if I say I can't do this, or like even like with gym wise, like I'll be like, oh, "I can't do this set," he'll literally gear me on and be like, "Yes, you can." Like, what are you talking about? Yes, you can. He'll even start like calling me like names and stuff. And I think you kind of need that little bit of push. Like it's like makes you kind of like inside, and like, I need to prove someone wrong.
Yeah, I like those type of friends where it's like, you know, there's all friendships and, you know, sunshine and rainbows, and then when something is like serious, like they switch.
Like they have that kind of personality to be able to adapt. And it's good to have that. The third one is a brutally honest confident. There's certain situations in life where we need to hear the harsh truth. That's what the brutally honest confident is for. If you're in a rocky relationship and everyone's telling you that it's perfectly normal, that you're back with that special someone for the 8th time in the last 2 years, the brutally honest person is there to yank your rose-coloured glasses off and tell you, enough, stop with all that breakup and get back together drama. You deserve better.
All my mates.
Yeah, do you know what? I said, a lot of these traits are within a lot of my friends. I think you kind of need someone to snap you out of it, don't you? Like, I think I've even done it with you quite a few times, Sam, where there's been certain things and I'm like, no, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, you've fucking slapped my wrist numerous times.
So, like, there's obviously you need that. Sometimes you'll be like talking to a lot of other people, then be like, "Oh no, it's fine, don't worry about it. Oh, time will heal, blah blah blah." But then you'll come along, for example, and you'll be like, "Well, no, why are you waiting for something to happen? You can make this happen yourself." No, I'm using you as an example, like.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
no. I'm just using you as an example, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can be like that. Yeah, I guess.
I think even what was it, Sam? Was it last week you mentioned something? I'm not going to say what it is on here, but you mentioned something. I was like, no, like you're well within your right to do that. So do this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I remember that.
Did you say something?
Yeah,
oh, did you?
Way.
See? Yeah. So, like that kind of thing, I think just gearing you on to... I think maybe I snapped you into it, or maybe you just needed to hear it from me. But I was like, no, you should do this, and you did. And you got what you wanted.
It's just good to have like a second opinion on things. Like I don't know about you, but like I like second opinions on things when I don't know how to make a decision.
Yeah. I think as well, like a lot of us, especially guys, can be like this. We can be indecisive and not want to make a decision, and then just need someone to like just literally punch us a little and slap us up and be like, well, you need to do this.
I think indecisiveness kind of in the long run, it dissipates in the long run. Like when you get older, you can be a lot more decisive because you've had experience and you know like what the consequences of certain things
whereas
are.
when you're first like kind of doing stuff and you've not had experienced it before, you're like, well, you and ah, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's personally reasonable, especially when you're like a teenager or a young adult, even in your even in 20s like us. Like it's personally reasonable to ask for advice.
So it's good to have that that person around that will just be like, that will essentially make a decision for you. But another one is a wise mentor. If you have someone smart, inspiring and admirable in your life who practices this philosophy, you're extremely lucky. We all need a friend who inspires us to be better people without making us feel inadequate. Plus, being around such a person will challenge us to become better ourselves. I think as a summary, a wise mentor, I have a lot of friends that will be encouraging and that they like to achieve things and stuff, and that kind of inspires me to want to do more as well. So it's nice to have someone who's ambitious around you and someone who's full of a bit of knowledge that you can be like, well, I want to talk about finance, but who do I know that has a bit of like information about this? I can talk to this person.
Yeah, this is something my mum has told me, and Alex told me, just that I pick my friends
I had
very
this exact
carefully.
same conversation literally 2 days ago with my mum.
Yeah, and like my mum says she's quite proud of me for that. She doesn't need to worry that my friends are scabs. And yeah, I do pick them very carefully, and not selfishly, but for the right reasons. Like if I need certain advice, like I know who I can kind of cherry pick in certain situations, which is perfect. And for the whole wise mentor thing, I guess you can kind of apply that to family too. My mum is brilliant, and I consider my mum my friend. Definitely one of my closest friends, even if she is my mum. It's a lot deeper than that, obviously, but yeah, for advice and
it does fantastic. Say here that's really like nice as well, Sam, and it's important to have that kind of relationship with someone who's of family nature. If you've got family that are that close to you, keep them close, man. But as well, it says here about like just even having a few friends that are like a few steps ahead of you in life. It doesn't mean that they're doing, just because they're doing better, they don't care for you. And they're not looking down at you as well, like especially if they're your friend. But just having that someone that's a higher achiever kind of makes you think like, well, I want to become like that as well. Like I've got a few friends that are like doing really well and stuff, and they do inspire me. Like it makes me, and all of the things that I'm doing with like the YouTube, the podcast, the design work, that's from forms of inspiration from other people, like my friends. Like you just said about like picking your friends, about majority of, actually all of them are, maybe bar one, they're creative people. Whether they're creative in my field, creative in like their thought process, or creative in the sense that like they like their fashion or this or that, every single one of them has a creative nature, and that's naturally formed because I'm a creative person too, and I didn't go out seeking for creative people. It just, that's how your friends form, like of similar nature.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point as well. Like now you mention it as well with this whole, I was just thinking quite heavily then about like picking friends that are kind of a couple of steps ahead of you, and you can really find that
definitely
in the workplace. Yeah. Like you can 100% find that, because like when we were working with Jack, I kind of had my old boss Jack, he's more or less just one of my friends now. He was like that to me massively, always giving advice, but being a friend at the same time. Like that you can find that really easily
definitely
in the workplace.
And it just helps you as well climb the ladder as such.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be work related. It can be steps ahead of anything. Like it could be relationship, it could be, I don't know, fitness related. So I know you've got a really close friend. What's the Jack dude's name? He's big. The cool guy.
Who?
What's his name?
Do you mean Ben?
Yeah, I say jacked because he is jacked. Yeah, he's a big dude, but like I guess you.
Yeah, and he's a PT as well. Obviously. So well, especially last year I was meant to, but because of Corona, it kind of hindered my thought process to do it. But I wanted to become a PT and do a PT course. And I'm thinking of doing that this year, and I'm thinking of potentially opening my own studio soon or something. But that's all sources of inspiration around me.
Yeah. You didn't tell me that.
It's just something in the back of my head, man. I've been thinking about having my own little studio space and maybe renting somewhere out, and that's when I've done a PT course. It's just something on the cards, really. I've used this phrase before today as well. I'm trying to dibble and dabble into it as much as I can until I find my own niche. But yeah, that's obviously sources of inspiration. One of my best mates, Naz, he's into his fitness as well, and he's quite big, and it just inspires me to want to become bigger and better, really. So, I mean, it's nice to have people that are better than you in life.
Yeah, and I was thinking, that's a really good point as well, and I'm just drawing back to this whole family thing. Like, I look up to, obviously I don't look up to my dad because he's an asshole, but I look up to my uncle. Basically, I've decided I'm going to do the
I remember
MBA
you saying
the same place he did it. In Simon, that came on the podcast and stuff, and I just see my life kind of panning out maybe the same sort of way his did, apart from the whole unfortunate circumstances that he had
but that's
throughout.
kind of formed him into who he is now, though.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, but no, I'm talking in terms of like business and kind of like educationally from like that standpoint. It's nice to kind of see, like, especially with people that are a little bit older, you can see like, that's kind of my out.
Future as such.
Like, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And like, you know, if people have been through it, we'll take advantage of that situation. And, you know, if it's something
definitely.
For you,
and I think
go for it, mate.
It's important within your close group of friends to see them as role models, because in a way, like, we are kind of we're a big mold of each and every one of our friends, because they all carry traits that we have in different ways. So it's important to look at someone and think, I look up to this person, or I'm proud of this person for this. And it kind of just helps you mentally to understand that I'm not alone.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how you feel about this point that I'm going to make, but like, do you think you are your friends?
Yeah.
Does that make sense 100%. To you?
So, for example, like, I don't know how to. This is actually hard to explain, but I feel like there's a bit of me, of each and one of my friends in me, and the same goes. I can see like a trait of myself in them too.
Yeah, that's exactly the same, like, as me, really. And I think that's really true. So like, when you're growing up as like a teenager and stuff, so I can't remember what it is, but like, I think it's around maybe the age of like 8 or 10, like, you start looking to your friends for like approval instead of your parents, sort of thing. And that's how like you get molded by culture. So selecting who your friends are at like a young age, or like being a young adult, is actually what shapes
definitely
your personality.
That's a prime example as well, Sam, of certain people that we might know that have gone down the wrong path because they've chosen the wrong friends, which is something we haven't actually mentioned so far. But there might have been instances maybe in your childhood where you had a friend that has really bad influence on you and made you do stupid things. And that kind of, it goes to show that you do really need to pick your friends wisely.
Yeah, well, I remember I used to have, I mentioned this in a previous podcast with the bullying, and the dude ended up in
the prison.
I was really close friends with him, but he ended up in the wrong crowd, and, you know.
Yeah, there's a number of people that I know that used to be kind of that bully, and it was because of who they were around. But I might see them around now and they're completely different people because they changed their circumstances. They changed who they hung around with.
Yeah, and that's really important, especially if you're, you know, a parent looking at your kid who they're hanging around with. Like, pay close
and even on an outside perspective, if you see yourself going on a mental decline, maybe just look around you and think, is there someone in my life or a couple people in my life that aren't actually of benefit to me? And like, it's really healthy. This is kind of going to sound controversial, but it's healthy to cut people off if they're not of benefit to you.
Yeah, well, I do that. You know, sometimes you don't even need to cut them off. If you just don't make an effort,
you naturally see them just like drift away.
Yeah, the worst thing is putting in effort for something.
Yeah, and
that's
like with obviously the premise of the podcast is about mental health. There are friendships that can ruin you mentally because you're draining all your energy out onto just trying to be their friend.
My mum, I don't want to drop my mum in on this, but like my mum is kind of like my whole family is incredibly compassionate. Really, really heavy heart. They will follow you to death, sort of thing. And it's, you know, it's kind of where I get it from. And my mum is, her friends that she has, they kind of, they leech off of her kindness.
Yeah, they used,
they take the piss, calling her at all hours of the day. And my mum being really, you know, lovely person, genuine person, she'll pick up the phone, but you can see it, and she won't freaking tell you. Like, it just is so draining. But like, so you kind of have to find that point of where it's like, well, you have to put your foot down. And
I think it's a level of stubbornness to not say something, like you're too stubborn to yourself to be like, oh, well, I don't want to displease anyone. And my mum said that it's funny, you say this all the time about your mum, and I tend to have the same conversations with mine as well. And my mum always says to me, like, and someone else has said this to me as well, I see good in people all the time, and maybe that's not a good thing because not everyone has your best interest at heart, and sometimes you be too nice and you kind of let your judgment become clouded because you just want to see the good in someone.
Yeah, that's
so like
really
even
true.
My mum said, like, you're too nice, like you can't just say everybody. It's kind of naiveness, isn't it, like thinking that everyone's going to be a good person.
Yeah, well, not everybody, the majority of the time, not everybody is a good person. Like, to be a good person, it's actually impossible. Like, everybody's got a little bit of bad in them, and like we do.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even if you sense that in yourself, you can always reflect and kind of develop yourself as a person. And like even what we've said in prior pods, we say this all the time, Sam, like the start of last year, 2020, to now, we are completely different people. And I know we always say it, but that's growth, man. That's looking at ourselves in certain ways and realizing we need to change and adapt.
Yeah, which would have been shaped by who you're hanging around with.
And yeah, that's actually simply put. Okay, I'll move on. The next one is a friend from a different culture. The last thing you want to be described as is someone who's stuck in their own ways. If everyone had a friend from a different culture, the world would be a much better place. Being in a cross-cultural friendship allows you to explore customs, values, traditions outside your own culture. Sometimes you might even adopt new ways to do things. I can hands-on say that one of my good friends, well, one of my best friends, Ryan, Ryan Coates, he's very similar to me in the sense of how like we appreciate our family and stuff. And obviously in my culture, family always comes first. We appreciate, and we I'm not saying that non-Muslims do this, but in our culture as well, we have so much respect and values for our elders. But I can see that in Ryan, and Ryan, or like say if I was to be to certain people, say if you're like, oh, I'm going out with my mum kind of thing, certain people would laugh at that in a sense. I know it's a bit immature, but certain people are like that. Whereas like with Ryan, he'll be doing the exact same thing. Oh, I just went shopping with my mum, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it from my standpoint.
Do you have any? Well, obviously there's me, but do you have any like friends of different cultures?
Yeah, someone quite close to me. Yeah. Pretty much. Arthur is.
Has that kind of adopted your ways of doing things or looking at things differently?
Well, like, to be brutally honest, like when I moved to, from when you're from the West Country, I can't King's Speech here, but when I moved from the West Country to London, it was a massive culture shock, just huge culture shock, mate. Because like in the West Country, like everybody is white, and the majority of the time, like a British background, or even in just the UK. And then moved to London. Everybody I work with in my company is from a different nationality, which was quite a big shock. And the people who I live with are, Eastern European, Romania and stuff. Just a huge shock, and it's made me more, I guess, compassionate, to other cultures, and like more understanding of things. Like my way of thinking is not always right,
of course, and even little things like Sam, like people speak in different languages. Obviously, like maybe not even back in the day. I think this probably still happens because there are evil people around. But like, say if someone was speaking in a different language around you, whether it be Polish, Russian, Urdu, Punjabi, whatever it is, you'd get evil looks. But I think we're coming slowly into a world where there are people that are more accepting of the fact that somebody doesn't speak the same language as you, or someone has a different way of doing something than you.
If I was from the West, like if I was still living in the West Country, and then like I kind of heard a different language being spoken, like I can't tell you what the feeling would be, but it would feel like I'd feel a bit unnerved, I guess, maybe, like back then. But now it's just like, it's war off a duck's back. Like I actually hear it more than I do British people speaking to each other.
Of course, and it's natural. We like we'd be lying to say that we don't live in a multicultural society. Like everywhere you go, there's not a predominantly one culture. There's a mixture everywhere, and it's really interesting because obviously I've got a lot of British friends, but I also have different cultures. Like there's an Indian friend and Turkish and that kind of thing. So I've touched on so many different cultures, and it kind of, even like the fact that I'm Pakistani and not having my own culture, when I see certain things done in a different way, it doesn't seem like gibberish to me. Like it just seems like this is normal. Someone else is doing something different to me. I don't feel intimidated or feel as to question what they're doing. I think I'm just more accepting of the fact that there's so many people that are different to me.
If you have people from different backgrounds that you kind of hang with, you become a lot more accepting and compassionate.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And it doesn't help with like you become less of a racist. I'll tell you that much.
I think
if you ever are going to be one.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just now about like when you lived where you did, if you had a foreign tongue, you wouldn't, I don't know if you'd be scared, but you'd feel intimidated or be like, I think naturally you'd be like, oh, why they're here? Why are they talking in this language? Like they should be speaking English. But I think
it would just be like like feeling a bit like not scared, but like a bit unnerved because it's not my norm.
Yeah, of course. And I think as people, we thrive off of knowing everything. We just want to know what's going on. And when you suddenly see something that's going on that you can't kind of distinguish what's happening, it kind of makes you feel uneasy. Like, well, should I feel threatened or not?
Yeah.
And I think that's just natural intuition, really. But as I said, like I think nowadays people are becoming more accepting of the fact that there are different people to us, and everyone does stuff in their own way, whether it be of different culture or just the different nature of people.
Yeah, perfect.
So yeah, that's a friend of different culture. This is an interesting one, and I want to know if you've got this. A polar opposite. We humans are hardwired to get together in groups and attack outsiders. The human pack mentality, if you will. If you only develop friendships with others who follow the same beliefs, customs, and values as you do, chances are you're somewhat detached from the rest of the world, and you're more likely to perpetuate stereotypes on anyone who holds a different view from you.
Yeah, I've got friends that are a bit different to me, but they're not my close friends.
Okay, so that's interesting. But they are your friend.
They are my friends, yeah. I don't know. Just mannerisms, goals in life. But I mean, I could say Brooke again. He's completely different, gone a completely different direction to me. Like I've gone business, he's gone. I can't remember what he's done, but he's so lax and chill and surfer dude. And not, I wouldn't say surfer dude. I don't think he surfs, bless him. But like, he's adrenaline junkie. Yeah. He's just a completely different person to me. But like, he's still a friend.
Do you feel like that kind of person who's opposite to you, you can end up having challenging conversations with them because they're not a certain type of way that you are? I can find that because I'm like, I don't know, maybe I can be a bit intimidating when I talk about like, I don't know, business or marketing or something, but like I know where to draw the line in the sand and like meet on an even playing field with him. Yeah, of course. And I think it's just having that mutual respect for each other, knowing that they aren't the same as you. However, we can kind of, cliche to say, but we can agree to disagree.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're very close and similar, but there's some things that we differ on. I guess, but you know how to draw the line in the sand, and so do I. I think that's what you should do with all friends, really.
Even like I know we joke about it on some pods, but like politically speaking, that there are going to be things like that, or even religious wise, like there might be things about my religion that doesn't sit right with you.
Yeah.
But these are the kind of things that I feel confident enough to have you as a friend and have these conversations with you, and off air, obviously, like not on the pod, but I can happily speak to you about religion, and you might think a certain way about something and I'll think another way, and we'll just have our own opinions on it. But it doesn't mean to say we'll argue or challenge each other as such.
Yeah, I like if you were talking to me about you know what you believe to be true, and then you're perfectly entitled to that, and like my hat goes off to you for it, and I'd say more the merrier, that's fine. But like if I was coming to you and saying no, I believe this, I'm not a friend.
No, I think it's a level of respect, isn't it? And what do you call it? Like not everyone is always going to agree. So, but it's just knowing when to draw the line and think, well, okay, this is this, and this is this. Let's just kind of call it a day there.
Yeah, and don't be judgmental. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's the polar opposite. There's only a couple more to go. A friendly neighbour. A lot of people don't know their own neighbours. It's a shame because some neighbours can be the nicest and most helpful people ever. If you're on a vacation and you suddenly realise that you forgot to lock the front door, you can call up your trusty old neighbour and ask them to head over to your house and lock it for you. Nice, dependable neighbours who have each other's backs are a dying breed, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't introduce yourself to the new neighbours across the street.
Howdy ho, neighbourito.
Oh, indeedly doodly.
Yeah, so with this, I can relate to our next door neighbours, and even a few doors down. We have a mutual respect for each other. Every Christmas and New Year's, they send us Christmas cards through the post. Some of them don't even know our names. They just call us our door number and say to blah, 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 have a happy new year. And it's just a level of respect. We'll see them in the street and like wave hello. And these are the kind of like friends that aren't friends, but they're just people you know and you can have a friendly conversation with.
Cute. Sounds cute. I kind of had this with my housemates as well. Like, I was like, oh, bugger. Like, because, you know, me with my OCD, like, I always forget to, I always check my door and stuff. There was one time where I left. There was one time where I left, and it was like last week, and I was like, oh, God damn it, Robin. And he was like, you want me to check the door? I'm like, yeah. And he was like, fine.
And they already knew as soon as you, yeah. But like with my neighbour, like there'll be certain things like where my mum's culturally relating to this now. My mum will have made like a cultured dish, and she'll give some to the next door neighbours, and we'll like have a nice chat. In the summer, if we're out in the garden, we always kind of like talk over the fence and stuff. And it's not to say that I can go to my next door neighbour and be like, oh, I'm really going through a hard time. Can you give me some advice on this? It's not that kind of friendship, but it's just like a passing kind of, I don't know, just a general chit chat.
Chit chat.
Yeah, so it's like a chit chat friend, but or someone you can naturally just gossip with. Oh, did you see the ambulance that came down the road the other day, or that kind of thing? It's nice to have that kind of friendship with someone that you don't have to depend on them, and it can just be like a one-off thing.
Yeah, that's what a lot of my mates are like, really, just like sending memes or like, oh, have you seen this sort of thing, like, you know, but it's like still keeping the conversation rolling and not depending on like communication all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And the last one is a work pal. Did you know that with a full-time job, you spend at least 50% of your waking hours at work? Not only that, but you spend some more time commuting to work, thinking about work, working overtime, and furthering your career on your personal time. Depressing, isn't it? Statistics show that the more isolated you are at work, the depressed you get. That's why it makes sense to get a work pal to chat with at the water cooler and help you get through the week. So, I mean, kind of self-explanatory, really. Like, obviously, like it just said, like, you spend the majority of your time at work and thinking about work. It'd be silly to not have someone at work that you can rely on and talk to, whereas you can come home and not have to talk to them.
Well, you were that.
And now look. No. So, Sam, are you trying to say that you don't want to talk to me?
Who are you?
But so again, sorry, just to finish off, your work pal doesn't have to be your best friend outside of work. They just need to be someone you click with on some level. And if you two hit it off exceptionally well, you can always start hanging out with them outside the office.
Yeah, I kind of do that with the majority of the people that I work with.
Yes, I think it's a natural born friendship, isn't it? It's not like you've gone to a party and you've mixed with someone and you now want to be their friend kind of thing. It's someone that I think you learn to tolerate people. Yeah. Like there might have been, there's been this for me. There's been instances where I've not liked someone at work at first, and then gradually, because you spend all your time at work, you spend all your time at work with them, you start a podcast with them, and then you have to kind of talk to them every week. So now I'm stuck with you.
Oh, stuck with me, eh?
But yeah, no, I mean, like that's important to have, though. Obviously, that's if you have a job, and if you're like me and don't have a job, then you have no work friends.
Sorry.
I'm currently jobless, so I don't have any work friends. I just have friends.
Yeah, no.
I want a work friend.
This kind of like work friend still like this is like aftermath work friends, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And even with Ryan, like I was his friend through work. Obviously, we went to the same uni, but didn't really talk because he only jumped in on the last year. But we ended up getting a job together, our first job in industry, and we're literally best mate. We talk every single day.
Why not me? I'm only kidding, but no, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
But you know what I mean, like, yeah, it's people. Like I said at the start, like friendships develop, don't they?
Man. Well, it's you know, I never thought our friendship would cascade into what it has done. I think you would agree on that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think even at the start, like a lot of friendships start off as banter, don't they? And like it's just like a bit of like work like related memes and stuff like that, or relating on the fact that someone's a dick in your office kind of thing, that kind of stuff. But then it kind of becomes into like you start realizing you're telling this work person some personal stuff that you never imagined telling them.
And you kind of intimidated me the first time I met you. Yeah,
did I?
Because you were like banter in the office, and I was like, "Please don't take the piss out of me."
I did not know this. I think it's because, as everyone that I know will know, I'm quite a loud person, and I don't have a filter. I've had to have a filter on this podcast, but at work, I wouldn't really hold back. Like, you know, the jokes me and Alan would have. I think it's, if people heard that from the outside, they'd be like, what is going on? Like, is this person going to have a fight? But I think, you just change, don't you? And you become good, close friends with people.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so that's our 30th episode.
Bloody hell.
I look back and I think, how many topics have we done now? Like, what the hell is going on?
What are we going to do next? Like, so we're going to start doing like podcasts about our previous podcast. We've actually done that, you know.
Oh yeah, we did the roundup, didn't we? The number 20. But yeah, no, it's amazing. I know I say this most episodes as well, but like, doing this week in, week out, and obviously for the first time the other week we had a week off, and even now, like, it doesn't feel like we had that week off. It's just I just can't believe it, man. Episode 30. And hopefully, I know we've got our consistent followers, and I know for a fact there are people that are genuinely listen to us week in, week out. But it's really nice to know that we kind of make a difference.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think people listening to this, like, I had a circumstance where I know that somebody has had like an alcohol problem. This is fairly recently, like past week sort of thing, like a friend sort of thing. And I just shared the pod, and they were like, "Oh, thank you." Like it's stuff like that really helps.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we, without knowing, subconsciously, there are tons of people that have listened to this, and obviously the statistics show as well, like on the Anchor app that I have, and I look at the people in the different countries listening. There's definitely people out there that are benefiting from this, and we always said this from day one. Like, as long as it helps one person, that kind of is what we want. Really, I think it's being the 30th episode as well. It would be nice to recap on the fact that this is genuinely about like two guys talking, and I know like I don't think a lot of friendships have this, where they'll be on the phone for like an hour with their guy friend.
Yeah, well, it doesn't feel like I'm doing a podcast.
No, of course not. And like even what happens with us as well, Sam, like we'll have a normal phone call before, and then we'll have the podcast, but we'll realise we've discussed so much in the phone call before that we're like coming into the podcast, realising we're repeating ourselves. Which
is fine. But like, yeah, it's like, I think anybody can.
It's just a general chat. I mean, that's like what I'm getting at. It's like we don't feel like it's a forced convo,
no, and it shouldn't be. It's quite fluid, this, isn't it? And like you just simply, as you said, now, just simply talking to somebody can go a long way. It's helped me out the most this year. It's just talking to somebody, whatever the situation is. Definitely. Because if you lock it up in your head, I'm going to use that amazing balloon analogy that you that you use. You just fill your head with shit, and then one day it's just going to explode. Like, not physically, obviously, 100%. But you never know. But like, if you don't let some air out and talk to people, then stuff can potentially go wrong.
Yeah, like I think the important thing is to just not weigh yourself down. You can start to, it's like wearing a body bag and like with weights on it. Like the more you walk around with all of that weight on you, it's going to feel heavier and heavier. It might start off light, but you start walking 5-6 miles with that them weights on, you're going to feel drained and like you want to drop. And it's just the same with all your negative thoughts and all of these circumstances around you. Like, you can change everything just by venting out and speaking to someone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt pretty crummy like a couple of hours ago. What it took was like a 2-minute conversation with someone, and it's sorted. So
yeah, 100%. And it just changes your perspective, man. Like, they'll say, it might even just be like one sentence they've said, and it'll be like, oh yeah, I thought about this. Like, oh, let's do this. And then it kind of develops into another conversation.
Yeah, man. Yep.
So, let's wrap this up then. Episode 30. Thanks again, guys, for listening. If you've got this far, Just Mates Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, and Anchor at Just Mates Podcast. Thanks again for listening. Episode 30. Cool. I am. Okay, why am I saying that? Why am I saying I am? I have been. I have been Nafees.
Been Samuel.
And we will see you later.
Goodbye.
Bye, driver.
Bye, driver.
Bye.
Bye, Nafees.
Peace out.
Bye.
Goodbye, my friend.